Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Wisdom Wednesdays. I'm Deon, and I wanted to continue the conversation on being a good friend to yourself. I know the tribe requested a video or a series on finding a good friend, but I want to start at the beginning. I don't believe that you can adequately love others if you don't adequately love yourself. So, finding a good friend, making good friends, cultivating great friendships uh, actually require you to have a great friendship with yourself first. And so today I want to look at the component of self worth. We talked about self compassion in the last video. So today we're talking about self worth. Okay, so let's start by taking a look at what self worth actually is. It is your intrinsic value, it is just who you are, not what you do. It's what you're becoming, not your outcomes. Okay. So I want you to think internal instead of external. So here are some common mistakes that people make when they're looking at their self-worth or trying to develop their self-worth. A lot of times people can go to external sources for validation of worth. And so validation from others could be one of those external sources. The issue with this is it can lead to people pleasing if all of your value is coming from the opinions of others or the expectations of others. Career and achievements, this is performance based. And just like anything else, performances, you're going to be new at some things. You're not going to perform well all of the time. And so if your sense of worth, if your sense of identity is tied to this, then you're going to find yourself up and down and probably unstable in your sense of self-worth. Financial success. Listen, if you are tying your self-worth to your net worth, good luck, because our market is up and down. It operates in booms and bursts, and you're susceptible to recessions. We can all be touched by that. So I'm hoping that these two things are not tied together, because this is very fragile. Appearance and youth. Baby, if you live long enough, some stuff is gonna start to go south. That's the way gravity works. That's the way aging goes, and beauty is fading. So if you attach it to your appearance and your youth, your worth is going to expire at some point. It's going to reach its expiration date. Okay, and so I'm hoping that we will reconsider if you're going to this as confirmation that you have value. I'm hoping that you will reconsider it. Now, am I saying that these things are not important? Absolutely not. Of course, we want to add value to spaces that we go into. Of course, we want to do that. We just don't want it to dictate to us what our value is. Of course, we want healthy relationships with others. Of course, we need connection with people. If you're a healthy human being, you are created to connect. So I'm not saying you need to be on some island somewhere on by yourself saying I'm worthy. We need relationships. We just don't want them to be the source of our identity and the source of our sense of value and worth. Okay, so let's talk about some of the internal sources of self worth. If I'm being honest with you, I can only tie it back to something spiritual. And maybe you have more answers than I do. Maybe you have different answers than I do. Feel free to drop them down in the comments, okay? But when I really thought deeply about this and I looked it up and I did my research, I could only find love and faith. Love and faith, that our sense of self worth is tied to love, like this unconditional, positive regard for ourselves. And faith. It takes faith to believe that you have value, even if people disagree with you and your outcomes disagree with you. It actually takes faith to believe you still have value, you still maintain your value. So I'm gonna be honest with you. That's all I could come up with. I wasn't satisfied with any other answers that I saw. But again, this is the start of the conversation. So please feel free to drop something in the comments below if you come up with something different than I did. Okay. I want to close this out by looking at self-worth through a biblical lens. So if scripture offends you, now's a good time to go ahead and jump out of the conversation. Thank you for stopping by. Hopefully I'll see you next week. All right. David says this to God, and I love me some David. I love me some David because David was a wild boy and he was messing up. But he had a great relationship with God. And he says this, he says, "Thank you for making me wonderfully complex. Your workmanship is marvelous. How well I know it." And this is Psalms 139 and 14, the New Living Translation. Probably most of you probably know it from another version where it says, "I'm fearfully and wonderfully made." Listen, do you know what kind of faith you have to have if you have been messing up to still hold on to the idea that your worth is not tied to your performance? And David has had some poor performances as a king, as a father. He's had a lot of failures, and he completely tied his worth back to what God said about him. And so I think we can really learn from his example. And I'm glad that it's in the Bible for us to learn from, because it's just proof that we don't have to tie our identity to our failures, which creates shame. And then shame becomes our new identity. Our identity could be tied to our failures. So I'm glad that we have an alternative. We have something else to tie our self-worth to. And for some of you, if it's not the Christian faith, let me know what else you are able to tie it to. This is what I was able to tie my identity to, my sense of self-worth to. Let me know what it is for you. All right. Bye, y'all.